On this episode of The View from Jamestown, we're putting a wrap on the end of 2024. Rob and I are just recently back from the Vinyl Conference. We recap the regulatory and sustainability trends from that week. We also talk about what's happening here in December and look forward to a good Q1. So all that and more on this episode of The View from Jamestown. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the View from Jamestown podcast edition. This is episode 117. This is the December 2024 edition, and we got the full crew here to round out the year. From my right to left, Latin American Operations Manager Javier Fernandez, VP of Sales and Marketing AJ Pacharka, Inside Sales Manager Nicole Iannicello, and TCC President Rob Roach.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
December's here. I'm
December's
happy.
here.
Yep.
And my parents are here.
Yes.
Welcome back.
I think
Welcome.
you're on a strike. I think like 4 or 5 episodes in a row you've been happy for one reason or another.
I don't know.
All good things.
All good things.
All
Yeah,
good
I'm
things.
happy.
Positive mental attitude. I like
Yes. yes.
Yeah, your parents came last night, right?
Last night, yes.
Very nice.
From Peru. So they will stay with us 1 month.
Oh.
So it's like, you can't stand for a month. You say,
Yeah.
you say so casually.
Well, I mean, Joaquin, and that's got to be nice for them to
Yeah,
see him. And
for sure.
A lot of people wouldn't say that with such a positive flair, but you know.
Oh no, I'm golden.
Can any of you guys imagine living with your parents for a month?
no.
No, AJ.
I could do a week. I hope they're not watching this, but I love you guys.
Rob.
I've done it for a week. Yeah, a week.
About it.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, a month is a long time.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
He's got a big house, though. I mean,
Oh, that- yeah,
he's
you know
got
what?
a
They
mansion.
have a
They're
wing.
over
Yeah.
in the
It's not
West
a mansion.
Wing.
Yeah, they
Don't
have
live-
their own wing. That's right. If
They're
I
in
had
the
that,
West Wing, and he doesn't see him too often. And
they make themselves
when they come to
scarce.
the central house, they mingle once a day.
That's not true. My house is not big.
And Angela and Javi pass off their child to them and don't see him for a month.
Yeah, they only see each other 3 times in the month. It's crazy. Well, yeah, it's mid-December. This time last year we were showing off our brand new podcast booth. It's crazy that it was 100. That was episode 100, so it's crazy. It's been a whole year in between then, but it's been a good year breaking this booth in. I think a lot of good stuff. But what's the latest? We're just back from the Vinyl Compounders Conference, which is always a good week. A lot of interesting meetings with folks and conversations, and typically a pretty well attended thing, but also a lot of good info about kind of what's happening in the industry, what is more or less important for a lot of folks. So there was a couple, I think, big topics. But what were some of your big takeaways from last week in Louisville?
Jeez.
Sustainability.
Yeah, there's still everybody.
I wasn't there, but from what I heard.
You're starting with me?
Starting with you.
Oh my God,
What
the
was it?
pressure's on. Yeah, I was surprised that people were still focused on carbon and sustainability in their presentations. It's such a used up subject at this point, you know what I mean? And I think people just haven't had time to change their PowerPoint presentations. Like there's so much more important things that we need to be talking about at this point. And yeah, I mean, just, the last couple of weeks, the French government has failed. And now that yesterday, the German government has failed. We, social accountability, environmentalism, all this is very important, but not if you're going to denigrate your whole society, your job system, your employment base, everything for the sake of it. And so that was one takeaway. It was like, geez, there was a focus on interest rates. So tomorrow is December 18th, and we're expecting a 1/4 point reduction. A lot of people feel that will be the focus in terms of how the economy improves next year will be how quickly the rates come down.
Yep.
So I think those were 2 takeaways for me.
Well, and there was a lot on like the mass balance theory too, but how people don't want to necessarily pay for that.
Right.
I mean,
So just to quickly explain as simple as possible, mass balances, they secure raw materials from a source that is bio or, more friendly than, say, a normal source, and they put it in amongst everything else.
Right, and they give you a piece
still
of-
get the same product, and
Yep.
you get a piece of paper for paying a lot more for it.
Yep.
And so there's not a lot. To
Yeah.
your point, there's not a lot of people that are hitching on to that right now.
But that was in almost every presentation.
Right.
That
Seems everybody can offer it. You're right.
Well, I think the
All
idea
the
is
producers.
it should be a stepping stone because it's 10% renewable, and then it's 20%, and eventually you get to a point where that product's now 100%. Just I don't know that we've gone from 0 to 20% with any kind of speed. So if you can't get that far,
Right.
it'll be interesting. It's an option, but like you said, people don't want to pay for it necessarily, or the consumers aren't willing to pay a higher price for that. So hasn't exactly got.
Yeah, there was a
ground.
particular presentation which said that the consumer was willing to pay 9.5% more for something of a sustainable source.
Yep.
And I don't know if anybody's been around America lately, but inflation's still going pretty strong. An extra 9.5% is a lot, So, yeah, people are saying things are a little slow, so they're not going to pay more for things when things are a little slow.
Yep. Yeah, I would say the sustainability portion, sustainability in the works. You mentioned the French and the German governments collapsing. I mean, sustainability only works if that, it can be sustainable for more than just things that are bio-based. If your government policies are so that, you're causing these kinds of issues, not saying it's just specific to chemicals and sustainability, but sustainability incorporates a lot more than just, like I said, bio-based materials or whatnot. I think it needs to be, there for the long term and profitable for everybody and whatnot. So if it's not exactly working, we're going to reevaluate. And I think, the European economy and unfortunately places like Germany as a whole are going to have, seems like a tough start to the year.
It sounds cynical, but people have found profiting in green.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it really came to an imbalance, is when there was profit in going green. And that's been a number of years now. And now it's a tipping point where people are sick of overpaying for things. They want jobs, they want normalcy, they don't want to help save the world from carbon every step of every day. They want more important things like dinner on the table and a good job and a good income and good health insurance and good health care and things like that. So These are the most important things, but yeah, we don't have to hammer that subject.
Yeah. Well, I think some of this stuff, there was a lot of info from different folks talking about the U.S. being in a really strong position going into next year, based on the lowest costs, energy, a strong export market for things along the PVC chain. So a lot of optimism specific to the States, I think, for next year, and which kind of mirrors what we've been saying for a little bit.
I think there was a group that spoke about DINP and the results of the EPA investigation into DINP, and it's really good news for DINP. It looks like there was one outlier, one particular point that was an outlier that didn't look good, but they felt like there was a very good argument to that.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, DINP looked very, very good in its analysis by the EPA.
Yeah, it seems like it's gotten a point where they can't put it under any more scrutiny, and they haven't gotten any, the negative results that some of the NGOs I think have hoped for. So, yeah, relatively positive news, I think. At least it wasn't bad news. So it's, moving in the right direction. Some new products and kind of exciting things that came out. Obviously, our friends at Evonik gave a good presentation about some of their new products. I don't know if you want to talk about those a little bit.
Yeah, DIN-CD is basically a hydrogenated DIN-TP, diisononyl terephthalate, hydrogenated. Excellent performance. Looks like a great plasticizer. We're really excited about it. And they're also discussing hydrogenation expansion in their plant in Marl, Germany. So that's, pretty exciting stuff. It's an interesting product. It's got great flex and high and low temperature. Stays white under sunlight, for long periods of time. Overall, I was very impressed with the technical properties of this product.
Yeah, DIN-CD has been a really exciting one. Obviously, we've been doing the Elator CH, or their Dinch offset, for a while, and then they had their DPT. So, it's good to see those guys present, and obviously, long-term partner of TCC. So
yeah, dipentyl terephthalate is another product they offer, which is a high solvator, which improves the performance of those using DOTP or Elator CH, aka Dinch. Because these are products that migrate heavily. They're not great plasticizers, but when you add a fast user, you get a hard surface layer on vinyl tile, things like that. And then, of course, you get the Elator CH, which is Dinch, but I think BASF owns that Dinch acronym. Our Elator CH from Evonik is fantastic product for a variety of applications and things like, fishing lures and plastisols and things like that. So more often used in flooring than DOTP in Europe. can be used in flooring here in the U.S., but DOTP is more widely available.
But no, great presentation, and obviously, glad to continue working with customers and folks in the U.S. and Latin America for next year for those products. So
Yeah, ATO was obviously a big talking point. Antimony trioxide was probably the biggest talking point outside there. Nobody mentioned the elephant in the room that is ATO.
Yeah.
The Chinese have cut off the U.S. from supply of antimony trioxide because it's used in things like armor-piercing bullets and also in things like night vision goggles and things like that. So they're trying to be an impediment to our war manufacturing.
Yep.
And there really isn't a lot of people that make a lot of it elsewhere in the world, and it's a very important product for flame retardancy in vinyl products. So all of a sudden the price went from $4 to $10 to $12 to $20 to almost $30 a pound.
Yep.
And unavailable. So this is the elephant in the room. If people don't have antimony trioxide, they can't make compound, they can't make vinyl sheeting, they can't make roofing, they can't make all sorts of things. So I was very surprised that wasn't more openly discussed at the event.
Yeah, you're right. There weren't really any presentations about it, maybe just because it's kind of a newer thing. But you're right. I think as you go to have coffee or go walk to dinner or whatnot, it certainly came up in just about every conversation. I feel like we had people at least asking about if you've heard this or that or kind of what the latest on it is. So it's going to be a big impediment and restraining factor for what can and will be produced next year in the PVC
Absolutely.
space. So one of the good things I think with this show too is obviously the group being based in DC. They have a lot of connections with lobbyists and kind of what's happening. And obviously you got the Trump administration coming in early next year. So that one presentation that talked about kind of his policies and, obviously everyone's talking about tariffs and what may or may not happen, but, kind of him laying all these bargaining chips out on the table and already kind of getting a couple things done with Mexico and Canada was very interesting. So obviously come next recording, it'll probably be post inauguration day, so we may at least have some feedback on what may or may not actually happen. But a lot of conversations about that too. Those in terms of meetings outside of kind of the presentations, those are probably the two biggest topics, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. We know that there's something coming.
Yep.
We don't know exactly what it is.
What was the saying? The only thing that's certain is uncertainty.
Yeah.
I'd said that, but I guess people didn't like to hear that. But that's my take on it. Is that the only thing that we're certain about right now is uncertainty.
Yeah.
We don't know, So that's that was
Well, at some point you gotta just kind of throw your hands up and be like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like we can talk about options and what we think's like. There's nothing wrong with not being able to guarantee what's gonna happen in 5 weeks. We can plan the best we can and try to hedge our bets and everything like that. But nobody knows. No one knows what things are gonna look like in a month or 6 months.
Nobody knows what those drones are over New Jersey either. This is silly, man. They know.
Oh,
You
of course
know they know.
Oh, come on.
They know
of course
everything.
they do. Yeah, that's just.
They knew Javi's parents showed up in town. They know.
Who is Peruvians?
Your dad shows up in his bag with this remote controller, like, hey, what's that? What's that remote controller for? How about this out of the table? How you guys doing? What's the latest over here?
Doing well. It's surprisingly busy for the second half of December here. It's typically a quiet time of year, but we've got a lot happening. So all's good.
Yeah, you've been neck deep in some supplier negotiations and nailing things down for next year. So
'Tis the season.
a lot of good stuff. It sounds like happening though. So,
Yeah, all good stuff. Rather be busy than quiet for sure any day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't like quiet. I hate quiet.
I see that to-do list over there. It's keeping you busy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are the biggest things you got going on these days?
I don't know.
I'm sure antimony's keeping you busy.
Antimony for sure, but also like checking the volumes for next year, forecasting Q1, Q2. I expect like strong demand for Q1 and Q2.
Yep. Yeah, it seems like how's Latin America doing?
Busy.
First off, yeah.
What do you think, AJ? Since you're visiting to Colombia.
I think it's been busy.
Yeah.
I think there's still a lot of uncertainty to go with the common theme down there. That they don't know what to expect with tariffs and things like that. But everybody seems to be.
Do we expect a strong year?
Yeah, because I think last time we recorded, it was kind of just post-election, so there's a lot of positivity in terms of people anticipating a positive business outcome based on the outcome of the election. So I'm sure you've been busy the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and then Latin America is going to become a dumping ground. If the tariffs go through, it's just it is what it is.
I mean, it already is to a degree.
It is to the degree,
Just
but
gonna get worse.
it's just going to get worse, yeah.
Because one of two things are going to happen. That depending on what the tariffs end up being in China, Chinese producers are going to lower their price accordingly. Or if it is 100% tariff, they're just going to keep sending material elsewhere.
Correct.
And it seems like supply from Latin America has been good too, right?
We did. Our numbers were good for this year. We doubled the volumes with some suppliers, so they were happy with us.
Yep.
So yeah, things are shaping up good for 2025.
Yeah, I know in a lot of our customer meetings at Vinyl Week and just other stuff, folks are optimistic about that supply chain and the fact that we bring that.
Yeah,
to market,
we can get here in 3 to 4 weeks instead of 8 to 10. That makes a huge difference.
Yep. Well, I put this little slide together that talks about kind of the year in review, and I'll send this over to George so we can put it up on the screen here. But there's a lot of green looking at the markets year to date here, which looking back, I did the same sort of slide from 2023, and they looked much, largely similar. So there's a lot of upward movement over the past, last year especially, and then if you look at kind of 2 years together, it's obviously the markets have done very, very well as a whole in kind of a post-COVID world. You guys spend a lot of time keeping an eye on what the markets are doing, different segments or anything like that. So be interesting to see where those head into next year.
It's a bull run of bull runs.
Yeah.
That's it's impressive to see the S&P up, I think 28% plus this year. Just mirroring my prior comments, I don't know where we go from here. We're capping out. So lately, tech has continued to do well.
Mm-hmm.
Google's got a quantum chip out now. This is very interesting. I'm already seeing on my emails they're finishing them for me. I mean, This is getting silly, man. You know what I mean? Like, they know what I'm thinking. I go on Instagram and I was thinking, a Corona would be nice right now. And then all of a sudden I look at Instagram and there's a Corona ad. I mean, it's like they're tapped into my brain. But so this week Broadcom through the roof, up, ridiculous amounts. And then anything that's been supported, even, vocally by Trump, Bitcoin, for example. Bitcoin's well over 100,000. XRP has tripled. Ethereum is 4,000 plus. So anything that he seems to be, obviously in favor of or supporting seems to do very, very well, including his DJT, which is his Twitter-ish type thing, his own Twitter thing. I mean, how could he have that thing fail? You know what I mean? Now that he's president.
Right.
The first 4 years were a great time in the beginning, as he supported business, deregulation, simplifying taxes, things like that, and I expect the same. So hopefully we have a good first quarter and first half, as Javi said. Yeah, it looks like it could go well.
Yeah, I saw some article that talked about the parade of tech CEOs that have been going to Mar-a-Lago to meet with them, and I think the expression I read was "kiss the ring," basically.
TikTok was there yesterday. The CEO of TikTok was there yesterday. But yeah, I mean, he's learned from his first time that he's getting stuff done before he even gets into office, which is good. And we need a lot of help right now. We need help. Most important in my book is let's get war finished. Yeah. We don't need this Ukrainian war. We don't need war in general. And I like the fact that Donald Trump is anti-war. So hopefully he puts an end to the killings and murder and all the awful stuff that goes along with it. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how that all trickles down to kind of our business specifically. I feel like a lot of the headlines talk a lot about, cryptocurrencies, and it's all tech CEOs that are coming down to see Trump and whatnot. You hear less so about, material suppliers and material goods and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of the headlines, and maybe because it's just the kind of cool headlines talking about what Google's doing and, Apple's new whatever. That's all very important for the overall economy, but you see a lot more tech heavy stuff versus like, the stuff that we all talk about in terms of material goods and things like that. So be interesting to see how that bodes for next year.
I think it might go a little bit hand in hand, because, supporting chips and technology, and there's definitely a lot of raw materials involved in that. And we're in a race right now. It's a space race, it's a tech race, it's a everything race with China. And, so everybody, even the Democrats in the last 4 years, have doubled down on technology and bringing chips back to the United States and reshoring our technology assets.
Yep. Well, I was looking back at the kind of prior notes, and I was looking at our January 2024 episode, so about a year ago, at what the sort of headlines were at the beginning of the year. Obviously, at that point, we talked a lot more about things like the Panama Canal and the Suez Canal and the Red Sea. That all kept Javi very busy, trying to move things around the world. Obviously, there was some uncertainty with what happened with the China tariff exemptions, so that's somewhat settled itself out, at least until I think May, right? The exemptions kind of run through. Although we'll see what happens come January, but
Yep.
to be determined. But at least one less thing to worry about on a weekly basis with what may or may not happen.
Yeah, I just want some stability.
Which
no matter which way it goes,
Yeah.
I'd like for stability to happen.
Yep. And yeah, I think as we were talking in January, there's a lot of optimism for this year, which seems like it shook out. I think it's a lot of that.
The optimism was based around March starting to see reduced interest rates, and it really didn't happen, I think, until September.
Mm-hmm.
So, it happened later. But I think a lot of that optimism was like, yeah, rates are going to get cut. Here we go, starting in March.
Right.
And really didn't take effect until summertime, I think, is when it really started. So,
Yep.
a little late.
And like you said, we'll find out, I guess, about the meetings today and tomorrow, right? So
It's tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. There's 95% that they're going to cut it by a quarter.
Yeah.
So you'll see 4.25 to 4.5. So CME, FedWatch, if you Google that, you can see what percentage possibility of a rate change. We're at 4.5 to 4 3/4 right now. So it'd be another quarter point drop.
And I think I saw the expectations like 3 for next year as well. I mean,
Well, it's going to take
that
a
with a grain
while.
of salt,
Yeah, I think that Trump's definitely going to be pushing to continue to lower interest rates. That's for sure.
Well, some other kind of topics. Obviously, we talked a little bit about Latin America and what's happening there. Seems like keeping you busy, which is good.
Yes.
We don't have the folks from TLC this morning, but figure we'd talk about logistics and freight a little bit. We were talking about it Monday. Seems like as a whole, things have been okay in the logistics side of things. Some normal seasonal stuff. Obviously, it's December in New England, so maybe a little bit lower of a driver pool that wants to come up this way. But as a whole, it seems like availability's been okay on the trucking side. I haven't seen too many issues.
Yeah, I haven't seen much.
Yeah.
No, some concern around the still pending port strikes, I guess. Folks are starting to route product to the West Coast versus the East Coast container-wise, so it's causing some backups. I think that's supposed to be, is that January that's getting?
17th of January?
15, 17?
Somewhere mid-January, yeah. About a month from today. And, that's a serious concern for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's the biggest topic I can think of in the logistics world right now.
Yeah, there's a hesitancy for drivers to go more than a 2-day run, I think, so you might want to look at transmodal or something like that, other options that the logistics company can help you with.
Yep. Yeah, we've had some good luck with some of the transloading, intermodal, and things like that for long distance of things that aren't super time sensitive. So
yeah, you need a little extra time, and if you have that, it's a much more less expensive option.
Getting back to the port strike, one large chemical producer stopped quoting their exports until the port strike, until the date, which is the 17th or whatever it is. There's like, Javi, I cannot quote you until this new company policy, until for our exports, we're holding off exports. And it's a large chemical producer. I won't say the name, but you know who you are. Yeah, so that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So that's a domestic
U.S. producer, large producer.
Does not want to export.
No, until the port strikes
Are settled.
they are settled. Yeah, they're holding all quotes are on hold.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think as an aside, I think Javi has the most podcast fans of anybody.
Why?
What's happening? If you split the 5 of us and who has the most fans, I think you're in the lead.
Why?
He's the most handsome. That's probably why.
He's Mr. What's At Me, Mr. Worldwide. He's everywhere.
What's on me?
I thought the 2 people last week at the final conference was like, oh yeah, I watched the podcast. You guys are great. That guy Javi is really entertaining. We were at that Cleveland show, and you were just kind of holding court there. You had some fans.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, yeah, keep an eye on that. Well, by the time we record next, we may or may not be past that port deadline. So we'll see what happens with that, but something to keep an eye on over the coming weeks for sure. price updates and trends, not a whole lot really to talk about. Oil's kind of been floating in that $70 range. U.S. natural gas is up above $3, but it has been for the last month or two. The stock market continues to trend upwards. The U.S. dollar to the euro has improved or continues to improve really since September and October. Propylene continues to trend lower, which has had some pushback on things like plasticizer pricing and some different things like that. But anything else on indices or price updates, things to know?
Everything's flat.
I mean, besides methanol, everything seems to be pretty steady Eddie.
Sorry, Corey.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys seeing more and more stuff where people are trying to meet competitives at 2 cents and you're kind of a little bit more of that, maybe kind of fighting for orders over some price sensitivity?
Yeah, I think in some spaces, like a lot of products that are long, obviously that tends to happen. Is more competitive pressure when everybody's flush on inventory and supply. There's definitely a little bit of that happening in some chemistries for sure.
Again, with the uncertainty before the tariffs come into play, but if some of these tariffs do come in, obviously that immediately makes things a bit more valuable. So a lot of uncertainty to
what we've been talking about is don't sell it now. Yep. You don't need to.
Yep.
Hold on to it because uncertainty means that you might want inventory. So there's the people that are out there, bantering and dropping price. Good for you. We're chilling. We're going to make sure our customers that have been good customers are supplied, and we're not gonna play the end of year game, so much unless you're wanting to sell us. We'll bulk up our inventories if you want to give us a price reduction.
Sure.
But that's sort of our position right now.
Yeah, I've been negotiating, year deals.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take some deals.
We'll take some deals,
but we're not,
Yeah, that's not our motto.
No, it's there definitely is a year-end panic a little bit. So by some folks and. Yeah, you can see it. Our number. Give us a call. WhatsApp Javi.
WhatsApp me.
And obviously, I think January 1st is a Wednesday, which is always a holiday. Come January 2nd, would expect phone calls to be coming in for a little bit of everything.
It's gonna be a busy day,
as always happens.
I'm gonna work full day that day.
That's a nice way to start.
6 hours, a full 6 hours.
A full 6.
You're setting the bar high.
Yeah.
To start the year.
Yes. It's gonna be a new me in 2025.
New year, new me.
New year, new me.
It's gonna be here a full 45 minutes. Always a fun kickoff to the year. Even when stuff's even during the COVID years, stuff was quiet or whatever. That first week or two of January is always keep your phone on.
I will for sure. Have to.
That's why you rock 2 sets of AirPods, right? That way
I have three. You have AirPods.
3 now.
Yeah,
oh my
one
gosh.
in my bag, one in the office, and one at the home.
I was talking to Javi on the phone one day, and he's like, "Oh wait, my AirPods died. I need to switch out for my." And I'm like, "You, what? Seriously? Like
that's redundancy." That's
I have 3 mouses too. One at home, one in my bag, one here.
So you're ready to go.
Ready to go at all times. At all times. I'm mobile.
You're mobile.
Most people have like chapsticks different places because you lose your chapstick. You just have AirPods different places.
That's funny.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
You learn something new every day. Fun fact.
I thought you were gonna say like you had different AirPods, like 2 different phones, 2 different AirPods going.
Oh
no.
All of a sudden, I'm like, I've never had anyone like their AirPods died and they had another pair readily available and fully charged.
Jav is a pro. That's a pro move right there.
I think Benny's the only one with 2 phones in this crew, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Why you do that?
I like it.
Stressful.
Yeah,
I like it. I'm here for it.
Okay, fine. Good for you.
Yeah.
George has 2 phones, right? See, it's not just me.
Oh, okay.
Not just me.
Oh.
The tech guys.
See?
Yeah, right there.
Do you neglect one more than the other? Do you have like a favorite phone?
Does one get jealous of the other?
I would say I neglect one or the other. Speaking of, I don't know where the other one.
Exactly, that's the one that gets neglected.
That's funny.
Yeah, I don't know. When I started, I had 2, so like customers and people have the second number, so I can't just like consolidate to one at this point. That just sounds like a mess.
Yeah, you're in too deep.
Yeah, I'm dedicated.
Yeah, I have a Texas number. I have an 806 number. It's like, wow. Nick called me today. He's like, "Is this your phone number, Javi?" I'm like, "Yes, 806." I'm like, "Why is it Texas number?" Like, I went to school in Texas, and the whole story. It's like, oh, okay. I just migrate to they get a 401 number.
Well, that's the fun. Like when everyone got cell phones, whether it was high school, whatever, like wherever you were at that point in time, that's the number you got. That just follows you the rest of your life. Doesn't matter.
I want to always have I always want a 305. Like Pitbull.
Yeah. So you gotta get the second phone. The 305.
No, they're not giving any 305 numbers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Why?
That's like New York City's like that.
Yeah,
was like
no more 212. Yeah.
That capped out. Wow.
Okay,
I didn't
capped
know
out.
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if somebody wants to trade that 305 number, let me
Watch
know.
on me.
There you go.
I bet you could. I bet you people do that stuff.
I'm sure, but like they're not giving any 305 numbers. So I want to be like Pitbull.
I didn't know that. Mr. 305.
Where's 305?
Miami.
Miami.
I hate Miami, but
What's your zip? What's your phone number? Zip code?
806.
So you can be Mr. 806.
No.
We'll make a new one.
I
Doesn't
mean,
have the same ring to it.
yeah. Mr. 305, Mr. Worldwide. That's
Yeah.
That's
Mr.
the
Lubbock, Texas is
name of
different
the-
than Mr. Miami.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Benny's learning all new things today.
Yeah, mind blown. The nice thing looking ahead to 2025 is it's a less crazy trade show year, which I think is a good thing.
Yes.
We had a lot of AFPM and NP and Coding Show back to back last year was a lot to kick off the year, plus AFPM. So looking forward to a somewhat quieter year. I mean, we'll do the AFPM obviously and some of our usual shows, but looking forward to being able to just go set up things individually, see folks,
Go
customer
call on
service.
people.
Exactly.
Go call on people. Do your job.
Yep.
Yeah. Tell them,
110% agree.
Yep.
tell them.
Yeah, I mean the shows are nice, but there's nothing like going to a sales call.
Right.
What's that sound?
Isn't it you?
No,
Whose text sound is that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
AJP?
I only got one phone, and I got it under
Maybe it's me.
control.
I don't know. Might be me. I don't know.
All right. See.
It's killed now if it was me. I can't tell. I got these things on
Yeah.
now.
You couldn't hear that?
I could hear it kind of,
Oh.
but I couldn't tell where it was coming from.
Oh, it sounded
Oh.
like that way. Oh, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know.
No,
I
no,
don't know.
Anyway.
Might have been me. Sorry.
Well, wrapping kind of things up, thinking ahead of 2025, obviously, I think, we talked a lot about kind of what we're expecting to happen and what may happen. I think the U.S. will continue to be a strong market. We'll see, hopefully, things in Europe turn around. I mean, there's a lot of negative PR coming out of various parts of Europe at this point, but hopeful for a positive turnaround here at some point. I think we're optimistic for the long run.
What's your wish for 2025, Javi? Let's go around the table. What do you wish for 2025?
Oh, wow.
Good health,
Mm-hmm.
happiness, and just to be a productive year for everybody.
Okay.
My wish is to be as happy as Javi is every podcast. No, just happiness. Yep.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't not mirror all those things. In addition to everything that was priorly noted, I'd like to wish to continue to develop such good relationships. We have such good supplier relationships. We have such good customer relationships. I was talking to folks, both within the chemical industry and then just friends and family and stuff outside. And, we talk about the fact that, especially TCC, we got folks that work well into their 60s, 70s, 80s, and people are like, why do those guys still want to work? It's like, because they enjoy what they do. The money part and having income is almost secondary. It's you really enjoy the business and who you enjoy dealing with. So I think we're lucky to have such good relationships at this table with customers, with suppliers, with various business partners. You just enjoy who you're able to do business with. So wish to continue developing some of those relationships and enjoying the business relationships we have.
Yeah, the best is dealing with friends. That's the best. That's the best sales call. That's the best meal. When you're just hanging out with your friend. Okay, let's do some business on the side. Okay, that's fine.
Well, and you see it more with Latin America more.
Oh,
than
yeah.
ever. I mean, we've had people we had to develop a relationship with for years before we actually started doing business. Like, hey, let's make sure we want to do long-term stuff. We want to enjoy working together. You see that there more than anywhere else. The U.S. can become kind of transactional, but you see that in other parts of the world. We had embraced that a little more.
Yeah. So what do you wish?
You guys really like this. I mean, I wish you started at this side because I was going to say health,
maybe easier.
happiness.
No, what else?
Well,
build on it. Build
on it. I mean, I guess just to continue, to grow relationships and just support each other, I guess, and have a great year. I don't know. It's one of those that I guess, just continue to keep going on. I don't. You kind of stumped me. Well, because everything was you know.
I'll continue then with health and happiness, peace on earth. I think is
Okay.
really important.
You mentioned
But
that.
to echo everyone's, spending more time with friends and family, enjoying life, and when you have health and happiness and peace, all of that comes.
Everything flows.
Everything flows.
Yeah.
And as far as professional, the company, I'd like to double the company next year. So can you guys do that? and then double it again, and then double it again. Yeah, to the moon. So no, I think it's not about money and all those things. It's about enjoying the fact that when you're coming to work, it's not like, oh, I gotta go to work, how horrible, It's that you're happy to come to work, and pressure is there, but it's the right kind of pressure. It's not the wrong kind of pressure, and then we continue to do business and good business with all our friends around the world. So that's my hope. First and foremost, health and happiness and peace on earth.
We are really lucky to work with people that we're friends with, and not just,
definitely.
Like you said, you spend more time with, like, at work than you do sometimes with your family and outside of there. So that community.
And what if
is
you work with
important.
your wife?
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know somebody who does.
Javi is a little bit, but no, you
No,
guys,
but it's still-
you're in separate buildings.
Yes.
No,
No, it's fine. We collaborate.
you do. You guys work well together. You complement each other nicely.
Yes.
One thing that we know internally that we're focused on, and maybe the folks in the outside world don't know, is we are focused this year and in the coming years on training the next generation. And to your point, Ben, that we have a lot of experienced folks that luckily, very luckily for us, stick around and do a lot of work. We're tapping into them, and we're not the young folks around here anymore at this table. We're teaching the next generation, because we're lucky not only to work with friends, but we're lucky to have a job. You think about all the folks that have had retail or, on a main street that shut down because of Amazon, we're lucky to still be able to do this every day, and we're thankful for that. So we want to bring people into this and make them a part of it too, so they can continue to do it, because it's our focus on our marketing this year. People, not portals. Mm-hmm. We need people in this industry. Right? It's not easy to sell this stuff. It's not easy to stay on top of these markets. It's not easy to know the technical applications and the reasons why you might need this and what you can get if you can't get that, and this, that, and the other thing. So we're lucky to have jobs in that way.
Yep. Well, and everyone at this table, you included, Rob, have benefited from the older generation being there before and learning from those guys. Like if you came in the industry and it was everyone, when you started, you were 22. If everyone at the table you were working with was also 22, you're not going to learn like you would from these guys that have been there
we're
forever,
not a tech startup,
Right.
here.
Right.
There's generational knowledge, so
Yep.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, I don't think I can say anything more than that.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
everybody.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Merry
Happy New
Christmas.
Year.
Happy
Feliz
New Year.
Navidad.
Feliz Navidad.
Próspero Año Nuevo.
Feliz Navidad. Remember we
Feliz
we pulled that out a couple weeks ago.
Feliz Navidad.
Oh.
I'm a dad, Happy dad.
It's important to note, speaking of the next generation, that we have our very own Ben Roach here for the first time as well behind the camera.
welcome.
So
Welcome,
Podcast
Ben.
debut.
Talking about
Speaking
the
of
next
teaching
generation.
the next generation, yeah.
Yeah. So, lucky to have the team behind the cameras that we do as well, and excited to continue growing that for next year. So with that, wish everybody happy holidays, happy new year. We'll be back in 2025 with the same booth setup. Don't get excited that it's going to be an annual thing, because we're one and done here. So, thank you guys for making some time this morning. Good to catch up, and we will see you all in the new year.
Thank
you, Ben.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Material contained on this podcast is provided by The Chemical Company solely for informational purposes. The information is not guaranteed to be correct, complete, or up to date. The information in the podcast is intended solely as a general education aid. TCC is providing this podcast as a public service, but it is neither a legal interpretation nor a statement of TCC policy. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by TCC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. Views and opinions expressed by TCC employees are those of the employees and do not necessarily reflect the view of TCC or any of its officials. All statements, comments, and opinions presented are made in the context of robust dialogue and freedom of expression. TCC assumes no responsibility for any consequence relating directly or indirectly to any action or inaction taken based on the information in this podcast. While TCC strives to keep the information in the podcast accurate, complete, and up to date, we cannot guarantee and will not be responsible for any damage or loss related to the accuracy, completeness, or timeliness of the information. TCC assumes no liability for any errors or omissions in the content of this podcast. The information contained on the podcast is provided entirely on an as-is basis with no guarantees of completeness, accuracy, usefulness, or timeliness. Thank you for streaming the View from Jamestown Podcast Edition.
Like and subscribe for more.